Two, what's good? It's your boy Everything Water, and water is everything my familiar. Now listen, man, I got for you guys a very fun strand build with a little twist to it. You know what I'm saying? You're gonna be using the grapple. You're gonna be having a lot of resilience. You're gonna be able to be unkillable damn near in most content. Not a lot of content. But yeah, if you guys like this type of video, man, please leave a like and subscribe. We almost at 200 subs. Let's get ready. Let's get straight into the video. Now for the Helmick exotic, we're going to be using the Arachne's Facade. Now basically, this is an exotic that gains Woven Mail when activating Grapple, increase Flinch resistance while Woven Mail is activated. You also get like a 60% reductive resilience buff too, so you take more damage, or do you reduct more damage, either or. But yeah, this is a very underrated exotic. The Arachne's Facade is really good, even if for PvP, but I prefer to use it with this build. You don't even have to be using the grapple and melee. The moment you use it, you can deactivate it by pressing it again, which is gonna constantly be able to be infinite, because as long as you have two grenade grapples, so if you place it at one spot, as long as you keep on grappling to that one spot, or if you have a tangle, you will constantly have grapple. So this is really OP, so you can have infinite Woven Mail as long as you're grappling. So yeah, this is what makes this exotic very, very OP, especially when you get into the build and stuff like that. Now we're going to be going to our second exotic that will make this build complete, is the Final Warning. Now for an exotic weapon, we're going to be using Final Warning. Now Final Warning is a sidearm that holding down the trigger marks targets with range and loads multiple bullets, which fires in a burst with increased stability and trigger release. Now this is really, really good. This is a very underrated type weapon. Once you mark these enemies, it can be between like 1 or 3. You hold down sight and it does extra damage, but if you do off hip, it's more, it does less damage, but it hits multiple enemies. This is a very underrated sidearm. I really just started using this. I didn't even think this sidearm was good when it first dropped, honest truth. So now using it now shows me this sidearm really does good, and with this Strand build, you're really gonna like this sidearm. It's gonna be more fun to play with. You're gonna have more active. You can go, this is a very versatile build. So yeah, now we're gonna get into the subclass, the aspects, the fragments, and the abilities for this build. Strike super. For our abilities, starting off, we got Gambler's Dodge. Gambler's Dodge to reload your melee, because with this build you're not going to be needing to reload your weapon, so Marksman Dodge is pointless when you got Gambler's Dodge for this build. Then for grapple, this is the very key part. Instead of using shackle, which is really good, a really good grenade, we're gonna be using shackle. We're gonna be using grapple, because this will give us our Woven Mail instantly, and we can spam this as much as possible as long as we're grappling to the same spot. So once you do that, it's like just an infinite loop. For our aspects, we're gonna be using Widow Silk, and we're gonna be using Ensuring Slam. These are two goods. The other one is also still good. Thread Spectre is still good if you have it. I don't prefer to use it in this build, but you can if you want to. For our fragments, now starting off, we're going to use Thread of Ascent. Activating your grenade reloads. Your grenade ability reloads your equipped weapon and grants bonus airborne efficiency. Now this is really good, because like I told you, this is why you will not be needing Marksman Dodge, because of this Thread of Ascent. So now every time we use grapple, we're going to have a reloaded weapon, so it's an infinite loop. You know, now that we're using the Final Warning, it's gonna be infinite ammo. I don't have to reload at all, as long as I grapple and I cancel out my grapple with Kickstart. For my next fragment, we're gonna be using Thread of Generation. Dealing damage generates grenade energy. This is a very simple fragment. Obviously, you know, dealing damage generates grenade energy. So as long as you're dealing damage, you will get grenade energy. For my third fragment, we're gonna be using Thread of Transmutation. While you have Woven Mail, weapon Final Blows creates a tangle again. So when you using the Final Warning and you create a lot of tangles, you can also use your grapple to those tangles and it will not affect it. Like I said, it's an infinite loop. You want to be able to have grapple as much as possible, because sometimes you might not be able to connect to the first grapple you use. So with a tangle, you can also connect with that without wasting a grapple. So that's really neat. And for our last but not least, we're using Thread of Continuity. Suspend, Unravel, and Sever effects applied to targets of increased duration. Now this is really good, because you want to be able to have all your debuffs or whatever last as long as possible, especially for end game content. But yeah, this is all I have for the subclass. I'm gonna get into the weapons and the mods and the gear. See, for my first weapon, I am using Final Warning. It doesn't have a catalyst yet. Hopefully we can get one soon. For my second, I'm using one of my favorite weapons in the game right now. Is a Prodigal Return. It's really good. I'm using lead for gold with Volt Shot. So even with heavy ammo, special ammo, I'm always gonna have ammo. Volt Shot is OP. It's an S tier ability. So yeah, we're gonna be using that. For our heavy, we're gonna be using this machine gun. This is really good. Unwavering Duty. This is a really good machine gun. Tap trigger, fill prep. These are decent. Perks. If you can get better perks in this, use it. And yeah, now we go into our mods. As you guys can see over here, you guys can pay attention that especially for your hands, you're going to be needing melee kickstart. Melee kickstart is important. If you can get it 3 times, get it 3 times. Make sure you have melee kickstart. This is going to be a very important factor in your build. Also, go ahead and get Strand Weapon Surge. Go ahead and use those. You can get 2 of that. I'm using this right. I get an overpower. I get health, so that's really good. So yeah, that's really the most important things right here. So you can have Strand as buff your weapon as much as possible. Right here, you want to be able to buff your weapon too. So as much as you can buff your weapon and also have to keep your grapple as much as possible. Yeah, so that's it for all the mods. You guys can screenshot this if you want. But yeah, this is your boy Everything Water Artist. Everything my familia. I'm out.